If you could give somebody the gift of saying, you've got 5 more years, and then the next year, you've got 5 more years. The anxiety that is caused by knowing that, okay, at some point in the years remaining to me, there's a high chance that I'm going to develop breast cancer, but not knowing what year that's going to be is really difficult. People come in here and every time they're here, they are waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every year they think, this is the year that I'm going to get breast cancer. So I've been helping Drs. Colditz and Dr. Jiang develop and test their software that looks at risk prediction for development of breast cancer using mammograms from our practice.
Women with family history may be at high risk for lifetime risk, which is a metric that is being used right now in clinic. But we don't know how long we're going to live, really. So looking at lifetime risk doesn't really make much sense. But looking at a 5-year risk, you can actually see that horizon, right? That's 5 years from today. Currently in clinic right now, women can get their 5-year breast cancer risk. But the way of getting that is by filling a bunch of questionnaires. There's a lot of recording errors. And even with the perfect answer, the accuracy is not very good. So our invention really comes in when the woman takes the mammogram and then the 5 years can be generated automatically just using the images alone.
And by having that summary and then including how that's changing over time once there are repeated images, your AI is better than a radiologist's eye.
The model is trained using these mammograms collected in-house. We've done several validations on global scale, and our tool can achieve accuracy of up to 85%. It's over twice as more accurate compared to the questionnaires alone. For us to get this AI-based prognostic tool, we have to go through the FDA approval process. We got the breakthrough device designation. And what that means is that the FDA will work with us together to fast track and to help us to get through the approval process. So after that, this tool will be available in clinic.
The next step, ideally, hopefully in the next few months, is to actually test it in real life on an individual patient basis. So applying the model that they've developed, getting back a score or an answer about what is that particular patient's individual risk of developing breast cancer, and then following that patient to see what happens. It takes a lot of investment to set up a clinical trial. We want to make sure that we're doing it correctly so that we can get the answers that we need when all is said and done. There will be a team of people that are responsible for actually enrolling patients, letting patients know that they're eligible for the trial, talking to them about what does the trial entail, and then running the trial itself. In the trial that we're designing, we're looking at women that have dense breast tissue. That's almost half of the women that we screen. Dense breast tissue is a hot topic. It can make it harder to find a cancer when it's there on the mammogram because it's hiding in all of the dense tissue. And 2, it intrinsically increases your risk of developing breast cancer, independent of our ability to find it. We currently have a recommendation that people with dense breast tissue should consider supplemental screening. That means doing another imaging test on top of the standard screening mammogram. Here, that would mean doing an MRI or what's called a contrast-enhanced mammogram. But the problem is to recommend as a blanket recommendation supplemental screening for half of the women that are in our screening population is not feasible. So the question that we're asking is, can we identify the subset of women that have dense breasts that are truly at increased risk of developing a breast cancer within the next 5 years of getting their mammogram? We're looking to do MRIs specifically in that group of women to see, can we intervene? Can we move the needle so that instead of saying, fine on your mammogram, and then at year 5, we're saying, oh my gosh, you have a 2-centimeter cancer. Can the introduction of MRIs at years 1, 2, 3, 4 find the cancer when it's a 5-millimeter cancer and hasn't gotten to the lymph nodes? That's the idea of the trial.
Identify those at high risk who might benefit from additional prevention strategies, and ideally, we'd identify low-risk women who may need less intensive screening, less frequent screening. I'll call it a giant leap forward towards personalized prevention strategies.
If you really could identify a much smaller group of women that were expected to benefit from supplemental screening, becomes much more feasible than a blanket recommendation that everybody with dense breasts do something.